YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with an updated 2-round NFL mock draft with trades. Just a little over a week. The draft's next week. It's next week. I can't believe it's here. We have a bunch of content to get to. We'll be live during day one here on YouTube and on Twitter with live analysis for each pick, reactions, live analysis on Twitter, day 2 and day 3. So join us for all of our NFL draft coverage, winners, losers, grades throughout the draft as well. I'm excited. Cannot wait. First pick, I do have Caleb Williams going to the Bears still. That shouldn't really be a surprise. Everyone's got it. Would be an absolute shocker if they went with a different pick there. Number 2 is where it gets interesting. The Commanders. In this mock, in my current prediction, I'm going to lean Jayden Daniels. I have had Drake May for a long time. That could be my final prediction next week. We'll see. It's kind of 50-50 for me. I think most people are different. Most people are with Jayden Daniels here. It's kind of like a CJ Stroud, Bryce Young situation from last year with the Panthers. I was mocking CJ Stroud for so long because in my mind I was like, how could you not? How could you not take CJ Stroud? Because it was so obvious. And CJ Stroud and Drake May are the same in this situation. Jayden Daniels is more of the Bryce Young, where it's sounding more and more like that is what they're going to do. Like, there's some connections with Drake May as well, but if it's smoke or not, the buzz is it's not guaranteed, but they are going to go Jayden Daniels at 2. You can argue the fit for either May or Daniels. I like the fit more for May, and I do think he's better as an NFL prospect. Obviously, Daniels' stats and as a college player, he was better, but there's a lot more to it. When you factor in upside as well, but how these players translate to the NFL. But yeah, so it's kind of that situation, and I just got to remember that teams don't do what I think they should do at all times, and teams make mistakes, and it seems like some of the same teams make mistakes. And Daniels is a great player, but I think it'd be, I think it'd be the wrong decision for the Commanders, but it could be what they end up doing. I know that's a new staff in there, but sometimes things stay the same in terms of the decision making, no matter who the staff is. So, based on the latest buzz and the feeling I get, it sounds like Daniels, but a lot of it could be smoke. I think the right decision would be Drake May. 3rd overall, I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Patriots. I think it's a possibility they go quarterback. I think it's a possibility they go Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's a possibility they go Joe Alt even. Maybe a trade back in that scenario. Maybe a trade. Can you trade back and still get that good of a player, though? Like, how far do you go back? You go back to 11 with the Vikings, help them get Drake May in this scenario or J.J. McCarthy, and then you don't get Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think they either want a top receiver, a top tackle, or a top quarterback. In my opinion, they probably should just stay put, and they do here, and take Drake May. But a lot of buzz recently that they do not like Drake May. It's actually Daniels, McCarthy, May for them, and we are less than 2 weeks from the draft, so that could definitely be smoke. We're used to seeing smokes. Not everything's smoke, and not everything is a fact, though. So it's a little tough to dissect here, but that is the latest buzz, and I could see this scenario. The Patriots are more than just a quarterback away. If they throw Drake May into that scenario with a not so great receiver unit, not so great offensive line, like he could turn the ball over a bit because he may do that even with a good team right away. Just they're looking for that true X receiver. You go and get it with a big time prospect in Marvin Harrison Jr. So why not? I mean, that's a really realistic. It's really a realistic scenario here. This is where things get interesting. I have the Cardinals trading back, but we're not done with the Cardinals and their movement in this mock draft. And the Vikings going up and getting Drake May. This is an A+ scenario for the Vikings getting Drake May. I mean, an absolute perfect fit. The most upside in the class, in my opinion. Potentially a future star quarterback. Perfect scenario under Kevin O'Connell with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkins, and they have Aaron Jones at running back now. I think that's incredible. So if in this scenario, they can trade up and not take May, they could take J.J. McCarthy. I would question that, but that's definitely possible. It just sounds like, Vikings McCarthy. We've heard that for the last how many months? It's just, is it that obvious, like it's going to happen, or is it just that good of smoke? We will see, but I don't know how you would pick with May on the board, I don't know how you would trade up and take McCarthy over May. So they swap 4 and 11. The Vikings give them their other first-round pick and a fourth-round pick. The trade value chart says 11 and 23 is enough, but I think it would take more than that, a little bit more than that. So Marvin Harrison Jr. off the board, so the Cardinals trade back, and the Vikings go up and get Drake May. Again, I'm kind of 50-50 on May going second or not to the Commanders. I think it makes so much sense that I want to say 100% because it makes so much sense. He's the best available, but teams don't do the right thing at all times. So here's a scenario which sounds pretty realistic right now with May still on the board. The Vikings go up and get him. So it gets a little bold here, but it's also very, very realistic because we've seen the Cardinals do this, and we'd seen them do it last year. I think it's very realistic. They can trade back and then trade back up. There's a lot of talks about them trading back from 4. There's a lot of talk about the Chargers who pick 5, trading back at 5. There's a lot of talks about the Vikings coming up, so you can kind of put those together. There's even been talks about Harbaugh maybe not helping out the Vikings. I think that could be a possibility still. 5 and 11 swap. But there could be a lot of movement here. The Cardinals move back, which they're not afraid to do, get more picks, get more value, but they don't want to miss out on one of the top receivers so they can come back up with a team looking to get more picks in the Chargers. So the Cardinals get the 5th pick. The Chargers get 11, which was originally the Vikings, and 27, which is originally the Cardinals. So essentially, the Cardinals move back one spot, still get their guy Malik Nabers. Well, I think their guy is Marvin Harrison Jr., but he was off the board at 3. So in this scenario, they move back one spot, still get their guy. They move up from 27 to 23, so they do move on from 27, and they gain a 4th-round pick. So they gain by moving back one spot, getting their guy here in Malik Nabers, which I think their board will be Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, Rome Odunze. Definitely could be wrong. It could be I'm going to be pretty firm on Marvin Harrison being the first receiver off the board, but again, a lot of teams think it could be Nabers, but so it could be Nabers 1 for them, or it could be Odunze 2, Nabers 3. We will see. It should be fun to find that out. But it seems bold at first glance. Like Cardinals go back and they move back up, but I don't think they're moving back to 11, or they're moving back too far without having a plan to move back up. I think they would rather just pick at 4 because they don't necessarily need more picks. And they kind of just help themselves in draft position here with this one and gain 1 pick. That makes sense to me. So it doesn't really make sense to take yourself out of the equation of getting one of the top receivers just to get more picks when you already have picks. That doesn't make sense. So if they're going to trade back, I honestly think this is more realistic is my point than just trading back and staying put. Number 6, we'll have the Giants taking Rome Odunze from Washington, one of the top receivers in the class. They've been looking for that top outside receiver, X-receiver. They get that in Odunze here. Makes too much sense. A lot of buzz about them going up to get a quarterback. There's a lot of people that fully believe that they are going to go up and get a quarterback, or they're going to stay put and take one at 6. There's some people that I trust that are super confident with it. Not everybody. There's a kind of a split decision, but I still think it's a little bit of a bluff going on with the Giants. If they do get a quarterback, I think Daniel Jones is a little beat up, but they have Jones and Drew Lock. They desperately need a receiver. I think it's a bluff because they want teams to go up and get a quarterback, so that quarterback fills in that spot, so that means another receiver drops back. Boom, they get one of the top 3 guys here, and they get Rome Odunze. Titans get Joe Alt. I think a perfect situation there. Where they need a left tackle pretty badly. They need a tackle pretty badly, and they get the best in the class that also has a ton of upside. A lot of people have mocked that one, so shouldn't really have to go too much in depth with that one. Falcons go Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. To me, this is Mitchell or Dallas Turner, the pass rusher from Alabama. 2 really good fits. I'm starting to believe more and more that it's Mitchell. I might mock this the rest of the way, even though I do really like Dallas Turner for them. There's other guys I like as well. Terrion Arnold's actually my cornerback 1. We did our DB rankings the other day. I think Terrion Arnold's the total package type guy. Less flaws, can do more. But I do love the fit with Mitchell with the Falcons, because you start looking at, fits play a big part. The Falcons, they bring in Raheem Morris, zone coverage defensive coordinator, specifically likes to run a lot of cover 4. That's where Mitchell thrives and will thrive. He's an off-coverage, zone coverage type guy that can sit and read the quarterback and make a play on the ball. So I think they'll view Mitchell. I like Arnold more than Mitchell, but this one would make sense. Again, Mitchell it could be more of a fit perhaps than Arnold. The really only knock on Mitchell is not so much he played weaker competition, but didn't press really at all. So it's going to be a transition for the NFL, but can get away with it in that Raheem Morris scheme. So I'm starting to believe this is a very realistic possibility. So I like Dallas Turner. He'll probably be a little bit higher on my board. So I could like that pick a little bit more. So I could switch to Dallas Turner in my last couple mocks, but I'm planning on this being it for the Falcons here. So we'll see. Could they trade? Maybe there'd be some movement. They go back, so that could be a little different scenario there. And then we've had the Bears trade a bit. I'm going to do it again here. I think if one of the top three receivers, if one of the top three receivers is there at 9, I think they take him. I don't think they trade back. That's at least what they should do. They shouldn't pass on elite talent there. Other than that, you can move back and either get some type of defensive lineman or another receiver like Words worthy of that pick, and you can gain picks because maybe a little bit of a reach for some guys here for the Bears that they would target a little bit. Some guys that argue against that not being a reach, but so you go back to the appropriate spot and gain the picks that you need. So in this scenario, the Colts come up, so it's a 9 and 15 swap. The Bears will get the Colts this year second, so we'll factor that into this 2-round mock. But that is a little rich. It's a bit rich. So the Bears have a load of picks next year, so the Colts get a 2025 5th-round pick next year from the Bears to try to even this out. The Bears still get more value, as they should. They are moving back. But I love the fit of Brock Bowers with the Colts. It's a perfect fit in Steichen's offense, for Anthony Richardson, a guy that really moves the sticks, fights for that first down, and it's a guy you can scheme up plays in the flat too. Richardson being able to escape and roll out and dump it off to Bowers, I can picture that too. It would make that offense that much better. They can stay put, and if they stay put, it's more likely defense. They take one of the better corners or pass rushers available. That's a strong possibility as well. But moving up and getting Brock Bowers, we talked about. I had an offensive fits video. Love Brock Bowers for the Colts as their best offensive fit in round 1. They would have to move up, and then it kind of came out that reports that they could possibly trade up for him. So just after that, so I thought that was interesting. So Colts move up. They get a perfect fit and help that offense, help Anthony Richardson as much as possible here, and then pick 10, which I do like. Brock Bowers for the Jets. He's off the board. Taliesin Fuaga from Oregon State goes to the Jets, and the Jets reveal that they're going with that new logo, but kind of retro logo now going forward with the new / retro jerseys. So pretty cool stuff. I guess maybe that new logo doesn't really cooperate with these graphics a whole lot, but I think it is cool. We put it in the top left for you too. But yeah, I guess the downside when thinking about Fuaga pick here is technically a backup at pick 10 when coming in week 1, but a very important one and a future starter for them. But because he can play tackle or he can play guard, he possibly can play guard, has upside there. A lot of teams have him at guard too. So really, he's backing up 2 veteran tackles that could have injury, durability concerns in Tyron Smith, and then Elijah Vera Tucker at guard. So unfortunately, I think Fuaga would be, because of injuries, would be playing in year 1, and he's that future starter, whether it's tackle or guard for the Jets. So this is a pretty key one, pretty important. I do like the fit there as well. So Bowers off the board, they go at Fuaga. Pick 11, so the Chargers ended up getting this through the Cardinals, through the Vikings. Sounds like a lot, but I do think it's very, very realistic, even though it's a lot. And we've had this before with the Chargers ending up with pick 11 and taking J.C. Latham. A lot of talk about them taking offensive linemen. If they stay put up there, I actually think they go a receiver. They need a receiver more. They have actually quite a few picks. So my take is, then why pass on one of those elite receivers and just to get more picks, So personally, I would probably stay put, but this is kind of a predict the pick situation. So they move back. They go J.C. Latham, which Harbaugh did try to recruit while he's at Michigan, a big-time recruit that can play right tackle at a very high level, really good in gap and inside zone. That's what Harbaugh and his offense, they like to run. It's a really good fit here. You keep Rashawn Slater at left tackle. Really good fit. complete that offensive line, and you do pick up the Cardinals' other pick here at 27. Could they just do the trade with the Vikings and end up with 11 and 23? That's a possibility as well. We've had that scenario in the past. Pick number 12, and then J.J. McCarthy falls right in the Broncos' lap, and there's a scenario where McCarthy can go all the way up at 3, whether it's the Patriots or Vikings or Giants in a trade-up, whatever, or he can go anywhere in the top 5 or so. It's definitely realistic. A lot of people believe it. I'm starting to think, and I definitely can make a scenario or see a scenario with that happening up there, but I'm starting to think every single year, like some quarterbacks get a little overhyped, and it's a little, teams just trying to bait teams into trading up, and and they end up going in their appropriate spot. And the appropriate spot to me for McCarthy is 11 or 12 pick, Vikings or Broncos here. He's really growing on me in this range. This is his range. Like, he's a winner. He's smart. He's got a lot of upside. He's got sneaky athletic ability. Pretty accurate. I might have said that already. But I think there's a shot he's available around this range. I think, last year it was Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. They're all going to go up there really high. The 1 year with a weaker quarterback class, and Malik Willis and Ritter were supposed to go that high along with Kenny Pickett. Not all the guys go that high. That year, nobody went that high. Only Pickett went in the first round. So all the quarterbacks could go up there, but I think there's a shot that somebody slips through here, and I think in this scenario that would be J.J. McCarthy and the Broncos. He falls right in their lap there, so a really good situation for Denver. 13, and the Raiders get their corner. They go Terrion Arnold, who's my top corner in the class. Do-it-all type corner. Can play man and zone, press and off, pretty evenly. Can play inside and outside as well, but he's going to start on the outside. So it helps the Raiders secondary a bunch here. Could go right tackle. If Fuaga's there, it's a possibility. Latham, if he's there, it's a possibility. In this scenario with those guys off the board, they go with Arnold, which I think would be a pretty good pick. And the Saints go Alu Fashanu from Penn State. I'm not a huge Fashanu guy. You guys know that. I think he's being overhyped a bit, but it sounds like he could go in this range. I just wouldn't love this pick for the Saints. Wasn't really a huge Penning guy either, but did like the fit. Thought they would make it work, and they still could. But they need multiple tackles, really. So they go at Fashanu in this scenario. I just think he's more of an upside guy. Could struggle a lot at first, but it sounds like there are some people that have him like very highly graded, like almost elite grade or towards the top. I'm mind blown by that, but based on what I'm seeing. So it seems like this could be his range. Again, I wouldn't grade this very highly, but realistic, and he does have a lot of upside, so we'll see. But 15, and the Bears, remember, they traded back from 9 to 15 because those top receivers were off the board, and they could take like a Brian Thomas or Adonai Mitchell here, but they go with the better value. They go with arguably the top defensive player in the draft in Byron Murphy. I think trading back and getting my top defensive player in the draft here, I think would give them an A+. Because the value you get and you get the big-time player, so combining both those, I wouldn't mind the pick at 9, but this would be better, obviously. So you plug them in on the inside. It's really going to depend I think they really like the interior guys they drafted last year, but there's nothing set. They didn't put a lot of value in those guys, Javon Dexter being one of them, but I think you get a lot better here at Murphy on the inside. And again, they could take a receiver here on the trade back, but I do like the scenario for the Chicago Bears. Some talk about them trading up if the price is right and just go and get a big-time receiver. There's a lot of talk about it. I just don't know. They're thin on draft picks. Yes, they have draft picks next year, but they're thin on draft picks this year. They went out and traded for Keenan Allen, so it's like, wasn't necessarily to do that if you're going to trade up. Now, keep that 4th-round pick, trade up, and get a star receiver, because somebody's going to be getting like not the full snaps because Waldron likes to use 2 tight ends. You're not going to use 3 receivers at 99% of the time. So that'd be a little contradicting. I think the Keenan Allen trade would be contradicting. So I don't know if I see the trade up there. It wouldn't make a ton of sense, even though you would get a really good player. But a lot of people talking about that. And then 16, Jackson Powers Johnson to the Seattle Seahawks at 16. Interesting with Troy Fautanu on the board here, and some interesting pass rusher options still. But so what I heard a former GM say, one that I trust, one that still has ties in the NFL, is that, multiple things here. This would be a really good fit. One, Jackson Powers Johnson is a future All-Pro for years to come player, so high praise there. I do think he's a safe pick. So, but also that former GM does not think he gets by this point. Like, this is the latest he goes. So that, I would say the latest he goes is maybe Pittsburgh. Maybe you can push a little further. So I don't know if I necessarily agree this is the very latest he goes. But with all that being said, maybe he's on to something here. And I've said this is a really good fit in the past. And they do need an interior, a center play. They added Laken Tomlinson, who plays guard. They do need a big time center here, and you get one. So I can definitely see it. And I think I've mocked this before too. So I can definitely see this happening here. 17. So in this scenario, Dallas Turner slipped through. So maybe this is the boldest thing from this scenario of this mock, because I think Turner can go at 8 to the Falcons. There's some talk about him going 9 to the Bears. I'm not really counting on that because I view Dallas Turner as a 3-4 guy, and I'm more of a guy that just get the best player. Forget focusing on scheme so much, but the reality is teams do that. They get the fit, and I think specifically the Bears, Eberflus, be looking for more of the fit, rather than the upside guy perhaps. And that doesn't fully rule them out, Dallas Turner out for the Chicago Bears, but I'm not counting on that one. I don't see the Jets. If the Vikings stay put and the quarterbacks are off the board, maybe the Vikings at 11, the Broncos at 12, but we had McCarthy slip through. I don't see the Raiders. I don't see the Saints. I don't see the Colts at 15. Seahawks a possibility, but a lot of buzz on Powers Johnson there. So if he gets by the Falcons, which is like a 50-50 shot for me, Mitchell and Turner. If Turner gets by the Falcons, I think this is a realistic chance that he slips through because he's so... I don't know if he's so scheme dependent, but it feels like he's scheme dependent here. So the Jags, I don't think would pass on him. I think this is their type. This is their type of pass rusher. Long, very traits. Long, very athletic. He has the traits. It's what they look for. So they do have Josh Allen, obviously a stud, and they do have Trayvon Walker, who's still a work in progress, and he's a guy like a physical guy where he can line up on the line. And they brought in Armstead, who's more. Yeah, he's gonna have hand in the dirt. He's gonna be playing. A lot of D-end, D-tackle in their scheme. So you add Dallas Turner, and it's a good rotation between him and Trayvon Walker. And remember they had Arden Key that worked out so well for them. They used all three of those guys very well. So too good to pass, fits them perfectly on what they look for pass rushers. So you don't see that a lot, but there's a little bit of a realistic scenario where that happens. 18, the Bengals go Nate Wiggins. I'm starting to think corner is a very realistic option for the Cincinnati Bengals. We've been mocking offensive line a lot. People mock interior defensive line. I think they're specifically looking for a guy that can play nose tackle. So I don't know about these guys in the first round. Do you wait a few rounds and take a chance on the troublemaker and Devondre Sweat? They can be a great fit. It's a possibility. They actually need a corner. They lost Awuzie. Yes, they have Cam Taylor-Britt, who's pretty solid, and they have DJ Turner, they drafted last year. He was kind of hot and cold last year. I mean, he was a rookie, kind of got thrown in. There was some questions, is he inside or outside? He's going to play outside for the Bengals. He has been playing outside. Mike Hilton's on the inside. But they've had some durability issues at the position as well. They could use a starter, and and because of the durability, they need to create backups or draft a backup if they don't take one in the first round. So they like athletic corners, good traits that can play multiple coverages. Wiggins, I like playing cover 1, cover 3, cover 4, has experience in that. So I think they would view Wiggins and his athletic ability as a fit, and he would start with Cam Taylor-Britt in my opinion. So I'd watch out for corner for them. Thought about a couple other different corners as well. I like the run-on corners coming up around this range of the draft. 19, the Rams take Latu from UCLA. Tough one to mock because the past medical issues, medically retired in 2021 due to a neck injury. It's a little scary. He went to UCLA then. They cleared him. He played 2 years in a row. But if one thing pops up with that neck, boom, like you just risked everything for that first round pick. It's a little tough. Very good football player, though, worthy better of 19. But I think he could slide a little bit. There's always those draft day slides where it's like that guy just slid because other teams are reaching for need. And then there's like that guy that like, why is he sliding? Is it the medicals? And they just continue to slide. So I would not be surprised if he actually slid even more later of the first round. I would expect him to still go first round, but we'll see. The Rams take a shot on him here in this scenario. Then Troy Fautanu, who could go a lot earlier in this, really, really quick, really good offensive tackle that does have some upside if he plays guard, but I would like him at left tackle for the Steelers. They're looking for guys that have got a good combination of like quickness and power. I think you find that with Troy Fautanu here, so I like that fit at 20. Probably the latest he goes, I would say. 21, the Dolphins go Jer'Zhan Newton, a pretty good, he's not going to be Christian Wilkins, but a pretty good replacement in for Christian Wilkins, because Wilkins played pretty much across the whole D-line. He mainly was I don't want to say mainly. He's really good stopping the run, but he would get after the quarterback, collapse the pocket very, very well, get pressure. I think Newton could do that, try to replicate that. So a pretty good fit there. Newton for the Dolphins at 21. 22, interesting one here with Chop Robinson and the Eagles. Eagles always looking for more pass rushers. They did sign Bryce Huff, but they did get rid of Hassan Reddick. They did bring Josh Sweat back, even though they were trying to trade him and they reworked his deal. He's probably gone after this year. So they want that rotation. Nolan Smith's going to step up this year, but he has durability concerns with his size. I don't know if he's like a 90% or 80% snap player. So they're going to be looking for another guy here, and I think this is a scheme versatile guy. So you don't really have to worry about finding the fit for Vic Fangio's defense. They're kind of trying to move on from some guys because of that. But Robinson's got the traits, the explosive traits, to get off, a guy you want to work with. I think a really good rotation. You pair him with Nolan Smith. I think Bryce Huff, we're going to see. Bryce Huff actually was a rotation guy for the Jets, though. So they do need more snaps. They do need more out of some guys here, and they do really value the position. So I like Chop Robinson a little better for them than Jared Verse. And then here we have Jared Verse. So we had the Vikings-Cardinals trade. The Cardinals got 23. They did give up 27 to the Chargers, though. And they take Jared Verse. They needed another pass rusher here. I think Gannon would like Verse for his defense. And he has the ability to go pretty high up. I think it'd be too early. I think 9's probably the earliest for the Bears. I think it'd be too early for me. He's a little stiff, lacking flexibility, kind of a bull rush type guy. He's good stopping a run, but this should probably be more of his range, but could go earlier. But I do like the fit with the Cardinals. I think the pass rushers could drop a little bit, like the scenario. And then we got 24. The Cowboys go Graham Barton. They do need a left tackle, but Barton actually played left tackle at Duke. But he can play center, guard, left tackle, and the Cowboys would like that. They could start him at center, or if they want to start Tyler Smith at left tackle, they could start Graham Barton at left guard. Again, if they need him to play tackle, he can fill in there as well because he played there. So I think the Cowboys would like that a lot for those reasons. It is a pretty good fit. 25, there goes Max Melton. And I've been hyping it up. If you follow us on Twitter, if you watch my DB video, I'm a big, I think a lot of people are big Max Melton guys. I don't know if they're as big as me on Max Melton. I got him in the first round. I got a first round grade on him, and I'm going to mock him in the first round now. And just because I think he's a first round player doesn't mean he's going to go in the first round. But I actually am believing he will go in the first round and surprise some people. We will make a video that I always make very soon. So surprise first round guys to watch for. Super surprising, little surprising, things like that. I am probably there's going to be a couple more mocks left for me. I'm going to be mocking Max Melton in the first round. And it's going to be a surprise to people. I'm probably going to get ripped in the comments. I'm not guaranteeing he goes first round, but watch out for Max Melton going in the first round. This guy is a stud, plays outside, inside. You put him where you need him most. I love his press ability, but he can play off, he can play man, he can play zone. Packers switching defense coordinators. I think a lot more man coverage coming for them. Max Melton's got the length. He's actually lengthier than all the other guys, considering the first and even the second round of corners in terms of arm length, which is huge. He's a 4.3 guy, super quick. I think it's a Packers-type guy, especially that you can put him inside and out. Jair Alexander had a little bit of an injury last year, and they had a whole debacle with him. I mean, he's going to be there still this year, but how long is he going to be there for that big contract? He's still a great player. Remember they traded Rasul Douglas last year. Eric Stokes has been, the injuries but popped up a little bit. So and they had some steals last year in the in the later rounds, and they can do that again. But so they got guys, but they don't really have. I mean, Alexander's better than Melton, but I think Melton's a big upgrade at that other corner, and it's a guy that if you want to slide in, you want to bring another outside corner in at one point, you can do that as well. His brother happens to be in Green Bay, not why I did that, but that's a bonus there. So I like the fit. I like this need a little bit more. People mocking Cooper DeJean there, and it's a possibility. You can use him at free safety, slot corner, outside corner. More of a zone guy. I kind of guessing here, but I will educated guess with a lot more man coverage coming from the Packers. So I do like this fit a lot better. Watch out for Max Melton going in the first. I like. There's a few teams I thought about with him. Eagles will probably be too early, but I do like the fit there. But Packers, Lions, Niners, Chiefs, I think those are the teams to watch for here. So I love this one. I think if this happened, because there's some people that a lot of people have a second or third, even a third round grade on Max Melton. So I think a lot of people would probably rip this. I'd be over here praising it. So we'll see. It should be fun to watch where he goes. And there goes Cooper DeJean for the Bucs. I do like the fit because Todd Bowles is a heavy zone coverage guy, zone coverage defense. A lot of cover 3 specifically, but then cover 4 as well. But a big cover 3 guy. And that works for Cooper DeJean. That's where he kind of thrives at. But he, played outside and inside, more outside corner. And they could use him there. They can use him in the nickel. I actually view his play style based on his style, again, his style of play, his strengths and weaknesses. I think he'd be better at safety and or slot corner than outside corner. We had the whole rundown in my DB rankings video. You can check that out, most recent one. But I actually think he can end up being like an Antoine Winfield Jr. like player where he's like, that type of style, that type of build, but can play free safety, can play in the slot. So could be interchangeable. Like when you have Winfield in the back end, you play DeJean in the nickel. You play him outside when you need him. So, and it just fits coverage-wise, really fits the Bucs. So can do different things with him here. If you're taking him strictly for an outside corner, like late second or late first, early second is more of my thinking there with him. But I think some teams are going to draft him to use him all over the place, as they should. And the Chargers ended up getting the Cardinals pick, kind of included with the Vikings there in this a little bold, but I think realistic. And they go back 27. They still get a big-time receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. So they get J.C. Latham. They get Brian Thomas Jr. They fill a couple needs there on offense. And you get a big-time, speedy downfield receiver for Justin Herbert here. What people thought Quentin Johnston was. I didn't think that. But this Brian Thomas is what a lot of people thought Johnston was. He just wasn't if you watch the tape. I think Thomas Jr. a lot more, athletic, a lot more flexible with his movement, a lot better route runner, like twitchy in that category, just bigger playability, a lot more upside as well. So the Chargers come away with, I think I would call a day one haul, even though I'd think about staying put and just taking one of those big-time receivers there. 28, the Bills go Adonai Mitchell, so they need that receiver, another receiver since Stephon Diggs is out. But again, they did bring in Curtis Samuel. Khalil Shakir could still continue to grow, obviously, kind of a breakout year at the end of last year. I thought about this a lot. I thought, like, even in this scenario, if Adonai Mitchell or Brian Thomas there, I really think they take him. But even in this scenario with Adonai Mitchell here, I can see a scenario, very realistically, I thought about here, where they actually pass on him, and Bills fans will be like, what? Like, if I mocked them passing on Mitchell here, I think they would rip my head off. I think other than Bills, just Bills fans would as well. But I think there's a scenario, and I think some people could agree with me, that they just go past. They go Darius Robinson, they go defensive end, or they go with the corner. Could they be a candidate for Max Melton? Like I said, a surprise first-round player. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry would actually be a really good fit. Bills run a lot of cover too. I think that would be his best coverage in the NFL specifically. So I would not be surprised, and I think it would surprise a lot of people. It would make a lot of people angry if they pass on this big-time, like, fan favorite receiver for a player like that. Don't be shocked, but it's a good receiver here. I think would really fit with Josh Allen. And they need a receiver, with some size, a little length on the outside here, pretty badly in my opinion. So, got to go that route. And the Lions go Kool-Aid McKinstry, a team I would really like Max Melton for, who I think is going to be a surprise first round pick. He's off the board in this scenario. And they go Kool-Aid McKinstry because they do need a corner to pair with Carlton Davis. The whole Cam Sutton situation. And then Carlton Davis has 1 year left on his deal. And they have a couple of slot corners that they can play that spot, but no other starter outside corner. I mean, in terms of, they got guys that can do that, but nobody like set in stone for sure. Thought about Darius Robinson here as well. The Missouri defensive end could definitely see that in this scenario. 30, Marius Mims. I've mocked this quite a bit. Georgia connection with Todd Monken, but that's not it. It's a really good scheme fit, in terms of the block, which makes sense because Todd Monken's, it's his scheme. And they badly need a right tackle. You got a guy that can help right now, but he has a lot of upside. Freaky do it as the traits you look for here. So I think that's a pretty realistic one. He was starting to get some buzz. He's an interesting one. Like, he can go really early because the traits are like, wow, like, we need to work with this kid because he is already pretty good with limited reps and he has those traits. He can be a star. So he can go really early because of that, like earlier than expected, or he can drop a bit because the tackle class is so good and there's a lot more polished guys that also have some good traits and upside, so he actually could drop a little bit. So I don't know if there's going to be an in-between. I think he's going to go earlier than people think, or this is like maybe a little later or about the range, I guess people think. So we'll see. And then Darius Robinson goes to the Niners. I think will be a first-round pick, borderline, but he's fun. Broke him down in the edge rusher class. Like, he has traits that in play and ability that would put him maybe at the top of this pass rusher class, but he's lacking that closing speed. It kind of showed in the test at the combine, but it shows on tape when closing in on quarterbacks. If he had that, like, even at a decent level, like, he would be guaranteed like top 15 pick. But he is missing that, but he does make up for it because he's very versatile. He can play off the edge, over the tackle, 3 technique, over the guard. He is powerful. Like, he bullies tackles. He bullies double teams. He explodes. He uses his length very, very well. So he has some legit traits in play and versatility. And the Niners would really like him. And they would play him at all those spots. Arik Armstead, perhaps, try to replace him. They play him at all those spots. I think it's a really good fit here. Maybe bigger needs because they've added some guys for the edge. But again, he's more than that. 32, I've been mocking Jordan Morgan to the Chiefs. They need a left tackle. He is a much better pass protector than he is run blocker. He's very quick. He's a really good pass protector. Very good movement. And so he needs to go to a team that passes more than they run. The Chiefs are that. Could he go to more of an outside zone team, which the Chiefs do run a little bit of that. They run a bit of everything. So, but he's more of a pass blocker. So we're not really worried about the run blocking scheme too much here. So I do like that fit a lot. In the second round, let's point out some guys here. So Xavier Worthy, he's a rangy one as well. He can go in the middle of the first, like he could, because of his speed and ability to play inside out, take the top off the defense, stretch the defense. But the Panthers go here and go with him here. But they could use some size. For sure, but they get the best receiver available here. You could argue Ladd McConkey. I think he's just too much Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, too much of the same there. And not so much the size because Worthy is not the biggest guy either, but just the style of play where they align the most. And the Patriots take Bo Nix. They didn't take a quarterback in the first round for me, so they take Bo Nix there. A lot of talk about Nix and Penix going in the first. I think there's a little too much buzz. There's a possibility. I think the Vikings don't take a quarterback at 11. They're going to take one of those guys at 23. Other than that, I think they're more second-round guys. I think Penix is going to go lower than people think. Rakestraw for the Cardinals. If he didn't have durability concerns, it'd be another first-round corner right there. He's fun to watch. Physical, comes up and hits. Tyler Guyton, who could be a first-round pick, another traits guy, goes to the Commanders. I think would fit Kingsbury's blocking scheme pretty well. Mikey Sainristil, the best nickel corner in the class, going to the Chargers, going with Jim Harbaugh, big-time playmakers. Titans get Ladd McConkey, who could go late first. Ravens Chiefs, somewhere around there. Ends up going with the Titans here. Adisa Isaac for the Panthers, another pass rusher. I think pretty scheme versatile, explosive, actually a little bit more productive than Chop Robinson in terms of sacks. So Panthers go that route. Marshawn Kneeland, I think a really solid, physical pass rusher. That's a really solid fit for Dan Quinn's defense. They could use another pass rusher. That's another one. I talk about Max Melton really to watch as a surprise first-round pick. I think Kneeland's probably that other one. This is where I ended up having him. But because he's big, physical, he had some flashy moments on tape, but he's quick, though. Like, he moves like he's smaller, so that's pretty good. Christian Haynes for the Packers. They need a guard, specifically a right guard. Haynes played his whole career at right guard. He also is kind of physical, like bigger, but very polished in outside zone and getting to the next level, making those next level blocks. It's a perfect fit for LaFleur's offense there. I feel like I keep mocking Fisk to the Texans. I actually like some sleeper D tackles better than Fisk that are still on the board, but this is a really good fit. What the Texans are probably looking for. Braylon Trice for the Falcons. I had him taking a corner in the first. Take Trice here. I like Trice. Very productive, very very impactful player. Explodes off the ball. He's not freaky athlete. I guess he doesn't have freaky traits. but the guy makes plays. I think the Falcons would like him here. Sua Mataya for the Raiders. I thought about Penix here, but I actually didn't do that. Maybe that's a little bold, but Sua Mataya has reps at right and left tackle in his career. I think he'd plug in at right tackle for the Raiders. Roman Wilson, who I think also could be a sneaky first-round pick. The receiver from Michigan goes to the Saints, so a good slot receiver for them. Yeah, he gets open from the slot, and they would like that a lot. Then the Bears got this in that Colts going up for Brock Bowers trade, which the Bears, could get their hands on. They would definitely need to get their hands on a second-round pick. I think they would like Troy Franklin, kind of like a Tyler Lockett for Waldron's offense here, his speed. People are kind of mixed on him. He could be a surprise first-round pick. There's some people, I think people either have him as like a late first, early second, or they have him like early third. He gets open, he catches the ball, he can fly. Shouldn't, I don't know if I should get rid of that catch. He catches the ball most time. He actually had 9 drops this year, so that's a tough part as well. How will he handle like press in the NFL? I kind of worry about that. So people are a little mixed on him. Then Michael Penix for the Giants, so they take the chance on him here. I mean, he's super talented. Just the age, the past injury concerns. The system he comes from, I think it's like a Hendon Hooker situation. I think he's better than Hendon Hooker, so I actually think this is more of his range. Jags get a receiver in Xavier Leggett. They try to replace Calvin Ridley here. Bengals is probably a trade back spot. Wasn't doing any trades in the second round here, but Blake Fisher maybe a little early, but I think a pretty good fit at right tackle for them, but maybe sits behind Trent Brown a little bit. Junior Colson for the Eagles. That is a Vic Fangio linebacker right there, and they could definitely use him. Colson's not going to be super flashy, but he's an inside linebacker that's going to get the job done. He's a smart player. He's physical. He's going to get downhill. He's going to make the correct reads in the run game. He's going to fill lanes, fill gaps, and make the tackle very efficiently. So I think that's a Vic Fangio linebacker right there. TJ Tampa for the Steelers. That is a good fit there because Steelers turned a lot more towards cover 2 last year, and I knew that was coming when they drafted Joey Porter Jr. because when I watched tape on him, there's a lot of people saying he was a man coverage guy. That's a cover 2 guy, so they ran a lot more of that. That's where he thrives. TJ Tampa is a cover 2 guy. People are kind of a little worried about him because of his speed, and he's not that great covering downfield. It doesn't matter. He's a cover 2 guy. He's really good at doing that. Michael Hall Jr. I thought was a really good fit for the Rams. It's a pass rusher from the inside. His knock, he's a little undersized, could be better in the run game, could be a little more physical, but boy, oh boy, could he rush the passer from the inside. He's got some good moves. He's really quick twitch off the ball. Try to replace Aaron Donald there. Omegadeji from Yale, the upside tackle for the Eagles. It's their type of pick. They bring in a guy that he looks the part. He plays the part. He just needs a lot more reps. He was injured, last year. Played guard before he played tackle, but he is a tackle for the future. So have him learn behind their stud tackles. Who knows? Maybe take over for Lane Johnson somewhat soon. I like Brandon Dorlus a lot. Talked about that in my interior defensive line rankings. I like him for the Browns too. They need more of like a quick guy on the inside that can rush the passer. And that's Dorlus, but he also can slide outside. So he can play DN for you, like when you don't have Zadarius Smith anymore. But he can start inside if you want to. Christian Mahogany, one of my favorite interior linemen in the class. I think he's being slept on. He's fun to watch. Physical, gets downfield, wants to murder people. Really, he wants to beat people up in the blocking. In any type of blocking game. I think a pretty good fit for Mike McDaniel's offense there with the Dolphins. Could plug and play at right guard. Patrick Paul from Houston, getting a lot of buzz lately. He can go a little earlier than people think. I just don't see first round, though. Not that anybody's saying that. I had the Cowboy. They could take running back here. I think you could wait a little bit because the best in the class is clearly Jonathan Brooks, but he's coming off that ACL tear, so how early do you take him? So they took a interior player that could also play tackle on Barton, but I think in this case the Cowboys would start Barton at center, and they need that left tackle. They would start Patrick Paul at left tackle. Zach Frazier, potential starting center for the Bucks. Edgerrin Cooper for the Packers, plug and play linebacker, very explosive. Tyler Nubin, free safety from Minnesota for the Texans, think a pretty good fit for them. Good coverage guy in zone. Cole Bishop for the Bills. My favorite strong safety in the class. Really good around the box in zone coverage. The Bills run a lot of zone. They could use a strong safety. Keon Coleman for the Lions. They need an outside receiver. They need to replace Reynolds here. That's what this is. Keon Coleman would be a pretty good Josh Reynolds replacement. Malachi Corley for the Ravens. I like him for the Ravens, and I like him for the Chiefs I mean, they like him for the Niners if they're trying to look out for a future Debo replacement. Just don't know if they're ready for that yet. But the Ravens kind of get creative with their passing game, just their game in general. They like to be physical, like to stay underneath. Corley definitely fits that. Dominic Pooney for the Niners, very versatile. Could possibly start at guard for them, but he was really good at left tackle this year for Kansas. So he can, if somebody gets hurt, he can fill in or potentially take that right tackle spot from Colton McKivitz. And then Ricky Pearsall, who I've always liked, but he's growing on me more and more for the Chiefs. Really reminds me of Adam Thielen. The way he moves, his body language. Adam Thielen plays in the slot a lot like Adam Thielen. Really good hands like Adam Thielen. I think it's a really good comparison. Not a huge comparison guy. I think everyone's kind of their own guy, but I like that one a lot. For the Chiefs with the whole Rashee Rice situation, and it's someone that's a little bit different play style than Hollywood Brown here. So like a lot of these fits, like the trades, maybe just a couple more, maybe one mock next Monday, and then that final mock probably on draft day. We'll have a day 2 mock after round 1. So make sure you have the notifications on here. We got you covered more than anybody for the NFL draft, whether we're live or with our videos, and then on Twitter with live analysis and breakdowns as well. So join us. Links pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. Code GOAT on GLD Shop, Liquid IV for a percentage off. Very important, again, to follow us on Twitter. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.